Greetings to you from a rather cool Lebanon, Ohio, where I've been working here for the last 5 weeks doing some work in promoting the Challenge newspaper, and in particular also the prison edition into the state of Ohio. But let me backtrack a little bit for you and talk to you about how this whole journey started. I met Pastor Willie Dengler probably 7 or 8 years ago, and we started putting out our main edition of Challenge, and we were met with very encouraging success, and we were really blessed by what God was doing and how He was using the main edition of the paper. Well, in discussions and chatting with Pastor Willie, he mentioned that World Hope was doing work into the prisons of Johannesburg, maybe 8 or 10, and as I chatted with Willie, he indicated that they were getting into 3 or 4 prisons really well, and the remaining 5 or 6 occasionally. So in our discussions we talked about putting out a prison edition of Challenge, and so 7, 8 years ago we started on a journey that we had no idea where it was going to take us. And so now it's my joy to see that we're producing every 2 months a prison edition of the paper for South Africa, and also now going into Zimbabwe, and again seeing the blessings flow. I love the way one person put it. The Challenge Prison Edition is a bit like the Yellow Pages. It sort of does the walking for us. It gets us into every prison, and there's 252 of them in South Africa, and from reports something like 200,000 inmates and probably more. And what's been fascinating for us is to see that we're seeing not only responses from the prisoners themselves, but we're seeing from prison staff, prison guards, and the like, and it's been so encouraging just to see that God is able to use the printed page. Now, why is the printed page so important? Well, it'll speak when you and I can't speak, and it will get into places where you and I can't. And we've seen this with the prison edition, where, as I said, it's like the Yellow Pages. It gets the gospel into every prison, every cell, but ultimately it gets the gospel into every heart. And so it's been an incredible blessing to see how slowly but surely we've been seeing people raised up, spiritual workers in the prisons who've been distributing the paper, and we've been seeing anything from 300-400, even up to, when we're there with the missions team in July, up to 1,000 responses a month. And we're literally discipling thousands of prisoners by the week, and sharing with them what it is to know the Lord, love the Lord, and serve the Lord. Well, one of the things that really spoke to me was I was speaking to one of the heads of the section of the prison in Johannesburg, and he said to me, he said, Pastor Carl, this paper has changed the culture of this particular section of Johannesburg's Central. And to me, that's really what the gospel's all about, and it was such an encouragement to hear that. So we're really continuing to develop this work, and we really want to see the paper getting even better penetration when it comes to getting into prisons. Now, the anecdotal evidence tells us that if a man or a woman is convicted, brought into prison, remains unconverted, and then is released from prison, the repeat offender rate is probably close to 90%. But if we see a man come into prison, soundly converted, and I stress that word, soundly converted, then and then given a life skill, maybe bricklaying, carpentry, maybe some other studies, we know that the repeat offender rate drops below 5%. Now, as I said to one of the directors of the prisons, I said, listen, this not only makes financial sense, it makes spiritual sense, but it makes financial and practical sense. I mean, why do we want to have prisoners going around and coming back literally weeks after they've been released? Because so often they're released, they've got no family, their wife is gone, their family's gone, they've got no home links, they've got no job, no skill. So what are they going to do? The obvious thing is they're going to offend again, because that's the only way they can survive. So it's great to see that something like Challenge can be used in this way to be able to bring a message of hope into places where sometimes I've met prisoners who think their life has come to an end. But so often what I've said to them, I said, listen, it's not until you come in here that God is able to get your ear, and your life has suddenly taken a turn for the better, not for the worse. Well, out of South Africa, of course, we've been going into Zimbabwe, and again we're seeing the same sort of response. Now, I've got requests from Kenya for the prison edition. I had one pastor email me recently indicating that we could get into all of the 93 prisons of Kenya, but again, funding is an issue. But aside from that, another sort of thing that South Africa has been a springboard for, if you will, is to get into the prisons here in the United States. Here in the US, they have 2.5 million people behind bars, and that is a massive, literally captive audience. Well, as I've been working here in our headquarters state of Ohio in Lebanon at Urban Crest Baptist Church, we now go into all of the 32 prisons in this state, and we're now in the position where we're not only seeing the paper go to every prison, we're now seeing the flow of responses from some 55,000 inmates in this state alone. Just this last week we had 5 responses come through, and then again this week another 3, and so we're starting to see that steady flow come. Now all of this has happened simply because the Lord brought Pastor Willie Dangler and myself together to be able to share the gospel in a way that would really help complement the work that World Hope Ministries had been doing up until that time. So I trust and pray that the conference you're attending will be a huge blessing and an encouragement and a further incentive to continue developing this work so that we can get in not only to Zimbabwe but right the way through Africa into the prisons and bring a message of hope that can transform lives. Thank you very much.